Hello there and welcome back. In this video we are going to continue our Nornir journey. So basically in the previous video you have seen how you can set up your project skeleton, where we have defined the configuration file, created the inventory folder and so on. And what we would like to do now is to create the hosts, the groups and the defaults file. So under the inventory, first we create the defaults .yaml. So this is going to be a standard YAML file, and what we would like to define here is going to be applied across all our hosts as defaults. So in the, let's say, data section. And let's say we want to have a variable which is market, and our market is DevOps. I'm going to show you how you can pull out these informations. So we will have a groups.yaml file, and this groups.yaml file is going to hold a global section where we say that our data is going to be RaperPy, and we would like to have a DC1 section, and inside this DC1 section the data is going to be location. And this location will be Frankfurt. Yeah, and this one needs to be modified. So that's it for the groups file. And now it is time for us to give our first host to the hosts file. So if you remember, I have a CentOS A machine for which I needed the IP address to work with, and I'm going to create the hosts.yaml file and say that the host one of DC1 is going to have the following sections defined. So first I would like to have a host name, which is going to be CentOS A. This host is listening on the port 22, which is the SSH port, and the username is going to be Nornir, and the password is also going to be Nornir. And the platform is very important because this allows the framework to decide what are your, let's say, options, what kind of commands you can run and so on. And yeah, and the groups it belongs to is the DC1. And what I would also like to add here as data is the site, which is home, and the role, which is host, and the type, which is, let's say, CentOS. Alright, now if everything goes well, we should be able to create our first script. So let's call this script first. So first.py, and what we need to do is to import from the Nornir the init Nornir, and we would like to create a Nornir object calling the init Nornir, and we specify the config file as our config.yaml. And as I prepared for this video, I noticed that I have made a mistake here. So these commas do not need to be there, and here behind the inventory the simple is missing. Now if everything goes well, we should be able to run our first.py. And there were no errors, the host file was successfully loaded, and it seems to be going to be able to do what we would like it to do. So what should be our first script? Let's say we would like to gather the available free space on our remote hosts. Currently we only have one host, but I'm going to show you how you can add more hosts, how you can filter hosts based on metadata and so on. So let's reopen our first.py, and here what we need to do is to import from the Nornir plugins the commands and the function print result. Great. Now what we would also like to do is to filter down our hosts. So our hosts are going to come from the nr filter function, and we say that we need every host from the site home and from the role host. And if I just simply print the host, it will give us the following results. What? Oh, sorry, there is something else missing here. Text. Great. Now it is able to give us the host that we have. So this is basically a generator function which provides an iterable object. So if we want to see what kind of hosts we have here, we may use a for loop. So for h in host print h, and you will be able to see what? Come on. Alright, then just go with the commands part. So what we would like to have is that we get a result variable and we say that host run, and the command that we would like to run is going to be a task for the run function, and we would like to use the remote command, and the command that we would like to run is the df-h, and let's just break it down here. Oh yeah, great. And we have the option to name this task, and let's call it available free space. Now we can use the print result function to print the result, and a simple print will not work. That's why there is a dedicated function to process the results of the actions that we take in Nornir. Great. Now what we need to do is to create a user. So I go to my CentOS A machine, and if it lets me in, it should, because it is running. Oh, why am I starting the PostgreSQL? Come on. Okay. Now user add Nornir password Nornir. Yeah, it is crying because let me close this PostgreSQL. Because the password is shorter, it is violating the policy, but for now it's good enough for us. And we will use the user mod -a -g wheel Nornir. Okay, let's verify Nornir at CentOS A. Nornir. Is it working? Yes, it is. Oh, there were 4 failed login attempts. Great. Okay, now we should be able to rerun it. It died with the exception that the authentication has failed, but now it should succeed if the host file is appropriate. Voila! So Now, as you can see, at the first.py produced the following output. And that's it. Here is the name of the task that we have created. And I would like to show you something really important, which requires you to dig deeper into the documentation to understand more about the way these tasks are, let's say, executed and what are the tasks themselves. So basically, currently we are using the tasks plugin, and if we go back to our first.py, you will see that we imported the commands function and or command section, and this section holds a specific command, a remote command that we have just used, and basically it returns a dictionary, so to speak, which is either the standard error or the standard output, whether the command succeeded or failed, and it will raise you this exception, the command error, during runtime if there are any problems with that. And what we can do here is to say that we would like to get only the standard output. So we can refer to the vars as and std out. If we go back and run this once again, it will be different what it produces. Voila! So technically this is about the commands, but we can also upload specific files to the system. So let's create our second script. So copy first second.py and second.py. In order to copy files, what we need to do is to replace this import statement and use the files API. And what we would like to do is to say that we refer to the task as the files sftp function, and we would like to name this task. So let's say we would like to upload the config.yaml inside the temp directory. So upload config.yaml to temp. What we need to specify first is the action for this. So the action is either put or get. Put if you are putting something onto the SFTP server, and get if you are getting something from the SFTP server. The second thing that we need to specify is the source. So the source file that we would like to put there is inside the same directory as we are. So basically this is the config.yaml, and the destination is the temp config.yaml, and it should work. Now we would like to see how this is documented on the API part. So if we go under the files, you will see that we have this SFTP, the write file. So yeah, we will talk about this later in this video. So basically these are the parameters that we need to specify. This is a skeleton, and it returns a boolean change and the list of files that were changed. So now if we execute this script, whoa, yeah, so a comma is missing, but now it's better. So now we should have the file uploaded to the temp folder any minute now. Let's see if we have a temp folder. Yes, we have. Oh, and we already have the config.yaml file. Voila! So basically this is how you can upload the file. What you can also do is to use the write function. So this write file is going to run locally, and locally means that you cannot set, let's say, a content to a remote file. And at first it was kind of confusing for me, but technically, if you want to use, let's say, a template to generate a configuration file, then you would use the write file, create the template, and use the SFTP to move that specific file. And technically that was all I wanted to show you in this video. See you in the next one.